Hello, welcome to Robyn's Roost. I'm Robyn Rassett, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm going to share with you a shaker card made with 3 different windows instead of one. It's kind of fun. You get the movement on the card, and this is a fall themed card. You could switch this out even with the trees and make it something else. I've kind of done a little bit of color on my my windows. It'd be kind of cool if you had like spring, summer, fall, or the seasons like that with this card. I didn't have exactly the right sequins, so mine is kind of just an eclectic. It does have a little bit of snowflakes on the one. So to begin for this card, you're going to make a template here. So I just took a plain piece of Whisper White cardstock. You could use the heavy cardstock too. It might make a little bit better template. You're going to measure down 3/8 of an inch, make a dot on each corner and then draw a line across at 3/8 of an inch. Did I say 3/8? I meant 3/8. And then you're going to measure over to 1 5/8 and make a line there, and 3 1/8, make a line there, and 4 3/4. So you're going to have, your line across and then these 3 little lines that go up and down so that you have like a corner spot. Then you'll take the rectangle stitched frameless dies, and this little, he's about 1 inch across, and you're going to go ahead and line up your line here and your little line here, and go ahead and cut those three die cuts out of there. Now once you have that done, you'll have this template that you can use for as many cards as you want. So then you're going to take, on your die cutting machine, you're going to line up your cardstock, and this is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. So you put this on your die cutting machine. Let's see if I can move this out of here. Line all the corners up, and then you can actually kind of feel where the die cut is, and you'll just place it in there and go ahead and run it through 3 times and cut each of those. That'll get you pretty straight. So once you have that done, you're going to take this is your actual card base, and this is a very vanilla thick card base. Now you can either use your template again if you want. I just kind of eyeballed where to stamp my trees in the background, but if you want, you could like put a little mark here in the center of each one of these, so you kind of know where the middle is. And then I'm going to take this stamp, is from the tree that I'm using is from the snow front. It's this tree here. And I'm using Early Espresso. Let's see if I can move this up a little. And now you can see I've got my little dots here, and I'm just going to center the tree on those dots. Now you might also notice that I have this Pearson stamp mat underneath. I do like to use that when I'm using the photopolymer stamps, because they don't have the foam backing on them that the rubber stamps do. Sometimes they need a little bit more cush in order to get a good image. Smaller stamps aren't so bad, but when you have the larger stamps, like the this big stamp here, sometimes you don't get quite as good an image. So now that we have that, let's see, let me step back a minute. Where did I put, okay, so we've got, this is probably really hard to see, I lose these things all the time, so I try to like put them somewhere where I know where I put them. This window sheet is, let's see, I forget what the measurements were. It's 4 3/4 by 3 inches. Okay, so that's going to cover all my holes. Now if I could find my piece that I had cut, I had one cut. Where did I hide it? Oh, here it is. So I like to use the liquid glue for the window sheets. So I'm just going to run a little bead of glue around my edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. Okay, so now we're going to set that off to the side so it can dry a minute. Oh, actually, you know what? Because I already stamped, I'm going to leave it here. So I'm going to use the foam adhesive strips, and I hope I have enough. I did a card class with this particular card. This was my last foam strip, so we'll see. We're going to go ahead and outline our windows. And I'm just going to put one strip in between these. And we're going to hope and hope and hope that this is enough for this card. Okay. It's going to be a little short, I think. Okay. Now I do have some other regular dimensionals, but they are not quite the same depth. So I hope this will work. It should at least keep the sequins from leaving their little spot. Okay. Now, if I had more of this, I would put a strip down here, or at least corners, you know, to hold the bottom of this card out. But I'm going to actually have to add those later since I boo-booed and didn't have enough materials here. So I'm going to just give this a little erase here where I had those dots. I don't think they would show under the window, but just in case, I don't really want them to show. So next, I am going to take my sequins, and I just have a real random assortment here. These ones I think you can still get. Maybe they're the Peaceful Poppy. I know there's some really pretty green ones that I didn't have with the Forever Fern set. So we're just going to kind of put a little pile in the middle of the tree as I'm dropping them all over. I think I'm kind of staticky today. Okay. And these ones I'm pretty sure are in the catalog right now, the snowflake ones. So I think I just got these. Maybe I should have put them in the middle. I was second guess myself. Okay, and I am so staticky. I have sequins sticking everywhere. If I don't get this closed, I'll spill them. I know I will. There we go. Okay, so let's pick up our little extra sequins that we have all over the place here. This one goes over there. This little guy's there. Now this is kind of the tricky part here. Oh goodness, they're sticking. So then you're going to take your backer off of your foam adhesive. So now we're going to very carefully line this up where we want it and stick it down. So there's our shaker, and now we get to decorate it with those pretty flowers. Now these flowers are from the Quite Curvy stamp set, which I believe is going to be available starting November 3rd. And it has a matching die set called the Curvy Dies. And I've fallen in love with these things. There's some greenery dies, which we'll be using, the leaves. And there's these cute little birds, which we'll also be using. But then there are these like edge cutters. And I absolutely love, I've fallen in love with this one with the little holes. If you want to do photo or scrapbooks, it works great for making, it looks almost like a photo strip, you know, from the old negatives. I love that. I've done a few pages and used that. And there's also a Christmas stamp set coming out with that. It's called Curvy Christmas. Not sure if you can see all those with the shine there. It's got some little trees and stars and some cute greetings that match the curve of the dies. So that's going to be fun to work with too. I haven't played with that one yet. So again, when I stamp on this with this big floral one, I want to use my Stampin' Mat. And if you don't have a Stampin' Mat, a nice stack of magazines works too. Something that has a little bit of cushion. I'm going to ink this up this way. Give it a good squish. And then I put my birds all together on one block, but they are separate dies, if you notice that, and the dies are separate dies, but I was trying to think of ways to save time here and blocks when I do my card classes. So there's the birds. Just move this out of the way here for a minute. Now I colored these with Stampin' Blends, and of course you can choose, you know, whatever colors you want. But what I did for these, if you wanted to duplicate it, is I have the cinnamon cider, and this is the dark one, and I just swooshed the I didn't do any fancy outlining or anything. You could if you wanted, but I did the bird's wing and their tail feathers and their back with the dark cinnamon cider, and then I used the light pumpkin pie for their tummies. So I thought they looked, you know, very fallish that way. And then what I did for the leaves, I did all fall colors. So I just pulled out, I've got cinnamon, cider, and I did the light. Now I usually use my brush end when I'm filling in things like this, but whatever your preference is. So then I just went across and did, you know, a bunch of leaves so they weren't together, all in that color. And then I took some light Cajun craze, and I went across and did the same thing. I just started, you know, on this end, and I went through and filled in here and there. You know, like, I don't know, it wasn't every other, but so then I went through doing that, and I used the Mango Melody, and I did some of those in both the light and the dark. And my marker is getting used up. But you can see how I just mixed those in, and then I used the light Just Jade and did the little stems. There's not very much of them in here, but it just gives it like a little hint of green in with all the browns. So I did that and then cut it out with that matching die. And then these are just, let's see, here's one that I have all finished. Oh, here it is right here. So then I just took my Stampin' Seal and place this kind of on the edge of the bottom of the windows. And I'm missing my little piece under here, so it's a little bit flat. You get the picture. Now these guys, it might be easier to use liquid glue than to try to get the Stampin' Seal onto them. But then I just place these guys randomly in the leaves. And then for the inside of the card, I used the verse from the Quite Curvy, and I have to stamp it before I can remember what it says. And I've got the Early Espresso. Thinking of you makes my day. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and stamp that on there. And then I actually did color in the flowers that I put on the side, so I'm going to use the Memento. And I'm going to take just a scrap piece of paper so I don't stamp onto my mat, because I'm going to stamp off the edge of this one. So just going to put that there, and then this here. And then I colored it in with the Stampin' Blends, but if you didn't want it to show through, you could also use the Stampin' Right markers. Let me just grab one here. So what have we got? This is crushed curry. That would match in pretty good. That was a pretty lucky grab. So I'm just going to quickly color these. And like I said, I like the Stampin' Blends, but if it's something where it's going to, the back side is going to show, like, here's the back of my other card, and you can see it kind of bleeds through a little bit. And if you don't like that, which I don't really like the bleed through look on the backs of my cards or on the inside, so then I will use my these Stampin' Right markers instead. And then let's grab a little green here. It looks like my old olive marker is just about right, but there we go. So there, we've got our little flowers to kind of follow through the theme of what we have on the front. So if you want to purchase any of these supplies, just go ahead and hop on over to my store, and you can choose any supplies that you want. I'll have on my blog, I'll actually have a list of the supplies, and I'll share that here on a link. So I hope you enjoyed this card and you make yourself some fun triple window shaker cards. Thanks for stopping by.